The planet Cronus. Beset on all sides by the tides of war, this once quiet colony became a savage battlefield. 7 armies clashed on this one world, each refusing to back down. Each convinced it was in the right. From beneath the sands of Cronus' central desert came the Necrons. Ancient machines bent on eradicating all life. But another evil already had its eyes on the planet. From the depths of the warp, the demonic forces of chaos arrived to enforce their claim. To oppose these fearsome powers, the planet's rulers in the Tau Empire sent their elite soldiers and sophisticated battlesuits into the fray. From the mighty Imperium of Man came the Imperial Guard, there to secure Cronus for the glory of the God Emperor. Like a green tide, the Orc Horde descended on Cronus, caring little for others' claims and sowing destruction in its wake. The Eldar, ancient enemies of the Necrons, emerged from their webway to pursue their own agenda on Cronus. And last came the Space Marines, finest and most uncompromising of the Imperium soldiers. Seeing a world beset by aliens and heretics, they undertook a great purge. A dark crusade had begun. It could only end with the total victory of one of these factions, and the total defeat of all others.
Dear God, has this series been a long time in the making. I'm honestly not even sure how to feel about it at this point, because I've been sort of forced to push it out well before I feel like it's ready, but it's one of those things where it's probably never going to be ready, at least in my mind. And so I've really had to kind of rein in my perfectionist tendencies to make this happen, because it's never going to be kind of what I was hoping it could be. And at this point, the game is updating faster than I can even update the mods. So it was sort of a now or never type situation. And I've been promising you guys this series for, what, 2 years now? So I figured it was about time. And so for those of you who aren't aware, we're playing Rimworld 1.2 as the Blood Ravens from the Dawn of War franchise. Specifically, we're playing a scenario based on Dawn of War Dark Crusade, which is the second expansion for the original Dawn of War game. We're playing, at least to start off with, as 5 specific characters from the Dawn of War franchise, most of which you'll actually recognize from Dawn of War 2. However, in maybe a separate lore video that I'll get more in depth in this with, these characters were very much present during the Dark Crusade, and so I'll go ahead and introduce them to you now. I don't want to spend too much time on this because everybody gets upset when I linger too long in my intros. So we're starting off with Captain Davian Thule, 4th company captain of the Blood Ravens Space Marines. Apothecary Gordian, who is our, again, apothecary. For those of you not well versed in 40k lore, that is sort of like the combat medic of the Space Marines. We also have Tech Marine Martellus, Tactical Sergeant Tarkus, and also Scout Sergeant Cyrus. And those are the 5 starting characters that we have. I've also taken roughly a dozen other Dawn of War characters and just kind of scattered them across the game world. Many of them are Blood Ravens that we will encounter, potentially rescue during our adventure here, and they will join up with us. Some of them are enemies that we will face. And of course, I will be taking names from you guys as well. So if you're new here, you haven't followed along with any of our roleplay Let's Plays before in Rimworld, I do things a little bit differently than other YouTubers or streamers, whatever you prefer, in that for a lot of survival challenges and stuff, I see other content creators basically just taking their patrons' names or screen names, web IDs, whatever you want to call it, and just kind of throwing them on characters. Since this is a roleplay series, I like to do things a little bit differently. I ask that you guys give me roleplay friendly, lore friendly names for these characters that are introduced, and so you guys can kind of roleplay along with me. And that we're going to do the same thing here as we have new Space Marine recruits join us. I will ask for name submissions, or if you prefer, you can kind of roleplay along with the series, come up with a character here on episode 1 and just kind of run with it through the duration, and we'll try to work them in. Now, keep in mind, I am sort of limited by the structures of the game as to where these recruits can come from, so your backstory may not be able to be accommodated 100%, but I'll do what I can. So, anyways, as I mentioned, we're playing Rimworld 1.2. The reason for that is that was the only version I was able to get my mod working for at the time of recording this. It probably wouldn't take that long to update it to 1.3, but I don't see a lot of immediate benefit. The ideology stuff is great, but we don't need a ton of that here. It's not that hard for me to roleplay as a Space Marine. We basically just kill everything that's not us. I don't need ideology to sort of force me into that box. I can I can do that easily enough myself. The other reason for that is there are a lot of other mods that I'm running in this playthrough that are only available for 1.2, whether the mod author abandoned them or it's a custom version. It's just more convenient to run them on 1.2. And on the subject of mods, this is going to be a really unpopular choice, I'm sure, but I'm probably not going to release a mod list for this. The reason for that, and before, hold on with your angry comments, hold on. The reason for that is if I put a mod list out, it's not going to do you any good. You will not be able to replicate this in your own game. Why? Because at least 3 of the mods that I'm running that are integral to this series are mods of my own creation that are not yet available. I would love to make them available when they're in a more playable state. Right now, the mod adding, for example, the armor that you're seeing on these Space Marines is basically held together with band-aids and duct tape. I've done the bare minimum to get it working for this series, but if I were to pass it along to you, it would create more problems than you're probably willing to put up with. That is also true for 2 other 40k mods of my creation that are in this playthrough, specifically the Gene Seed mod that I'm using, which is, again, entirely of my own creation. I wasn't happy with any of the current versions of Gene Seed on the Steam Workshop, and so I made my own. It's very janky. It has a lot of problems. I can probably smooth those problems out through the duration of this series, but if I gave it to you right now, you'd probably hate me. Now, there's also several other mods that I'm running that are custom versions, and on that note, I want to throw a big shout out to the mod creator for the Adeptus Mechanicus mods named Oglis. Oglis was extremely instrumental in making this LP happen, and in fact, without him, none of what you're seeing would probably be possible. He managed to create patches for about a dozen different mods for me to get them all working together cohesively, both with each other and with my mod. And a lot of the framework that my mods are built around are from his mods. So again, none of this would be possible without him. Big shout out to him. But anyways, those patches that he made for me are also not readily available. My mods aren't available. There are many mods that I am running that are either only available for 1.2 or only available through certain GitHub repositories, or both. So again, a mod list would not do you any good. I'm actually not even playing this game through Steam. This is a non-Steam copy of the game that I have installed completely detached from Steam so that no updates can kill this LP, because that's happened so frequently in the past. So we should be entirely isolated on our own little Rimworld 1.2 island where nothing can hurt us, hopefully. With that, let's go ahead and dive on in. We are playing on... Let's get the map loaded up, actually. So, the map seed for this is Cronus, because that is where the Dark Crusade expansion took place. We are up in Craggyville Taiga. I'm actually going to try to change that on the map. The Blood Ravens started in North Vandia in the game. Dark Crusade. So we should probably just change it to that if possible. I have mods that allow me to do it. It's just a matter of actually digging down and finding them. So as you can see, we're up in the very cold northeast. It is not snowing on our map tile as of yet, but it will be very shortly, I imagine. And you can see the average temperature is in the negative, so once it does snow, we're probably never going to not have snow in that area. But right now we have a little bit of grassland or tundra that we can see. And so in the northwest here, there are a bunch of Imperial Guard and Tau outposts. They'll be in constant conflict with one another. I am basically hostile with everybody who's not the Imperial Guard or this one faction of humans. We're going to pretend that they're sort of like the native inhabitants. If you're up on your Dawn of War lore, you'll know that the Tau were actually the rightful, well, rightful's maybe the wrong word, but the current holders of this planet. However, the humans were once citizens of the Imperium, so the Guard and the Tau are kind of fighting over that. The citizens themselves are kind of just happy to sit back and see what happens. There are also just some generally hostile tribesmen. I imagine a lot of our Space Marine recruits are going to come from those guys. And I think every year or so, we're going to hold a blood trial with a few of them, or maybe a dozen. We'll basically just put them in a ring, set them all on berserk, and whoever survives gets to join type of thing. Anyway, there's quite a lot of them. There's also... Are you guys also another hostile tribe? There's maybe two of them. I don't know, if I'm being honest. The Eldar are occupying kind of this center area here. The Orcs are in the wastelands to the southeast. We also have a Necron presence here, but they're completely underground. So they're just going to kind of pop up and be a nuisance whenever they feel like it. But this is the only place where we can actively target them. And we will be seeing a Chaos presence at some point. Now, there is a big space battle going on, as you can see, and eventually a warp storm will probably swallow up this planet. So there's going to be a lot of, hopefully, dynamic stuff that happens with the world as we go along. Not all of it's going to be immediately apparent because obviously we're just looking at a map, but things should kind of ebb and flow with the different factions, and we'll have new enemy types showing up throughout the campaign. Something else I'd like to do is, for example, with this Necron base here, when we do inevitably try to attack it, I'm going to use the dev tools to see just how closely I can replicate the actual battle from Dark Crusade. If it's possible, we'll go ahead and play it out that way. If not, I'll just kind of do it vanilla Rimworld style. But I think it'd be a lot of fun to try to emulate that that battle from the game in Rimworld and see how close we can get. And I may do that for the other factions as well. We'll see. It could be fool's errand to try, but I'd like to at least take a look and see how possible it is. Right, so that's the world that we're playing on. We're up in our own little area here. We can potentially look at expanding, and I might want to set up some roads that go through this mountain range just so we have easier access to other outposts. And we might want to set up some forward operating positions as well if we do that. But for now, that's not a concern. Something else I forgot to do is we have this research tree here, but research is for heretics. So we're not going to be researching anything in this LP. We're going to finish all research right now. So did that do it? Yeah, okay. Yeah, research is heresy. We don't plan to do any of that. Instead, all of our sort of research is going to be entirely dependent on whether or not we have the resources available to build whatever we want to build. And that's potentially easier said than done. Anyway, with all that out of the way, let's get started. I'm going to allow everything so we can start hauling, and we'll want to set up a dumping zone here. I am going to build a mountain base. So I kind of debated with myself for a little while here, but I think a mountain base makes the most sense. I've generated this map tile so that we have kind of a nice curved mountain to work with. We're going to be building primarily into the mountain here in the center area. We'll have a little bit of forward defenses out in this area, but the enemy's only going to really be able to attack us head on, which is going to be hopefully fuel for some pretty large and fantastic battles. There's not going to be, again, if you're new here, I don't do kill boxes. I only do straight up defenses that are very sort of roleplay friendly to the faction I'm trying to emulate. So we're going to have like big walls and sandbags and lots of Space Marines manning them, and lots of like bolter turrets and things like that, but no kill boxes. So we're going to line up a big line of guns right here, and the enemy's going to have to just come straight at it, and we're going to see how chaotic things can get. As I mentioned before, there's a space battle going on, so we'll probably see debris and maybe bodies fall as well. And then, because I'm not using ideology, I'm running the leadership mod, which allows me to assign a leader. We're doing a dictatorship here because it just makes more sense in this context. It's not really a democracy, right? The captain is decided upon already, and it's not up to vote. So Thule is our leader, and he has the warrior archetype. Let's see. He needs to equip his power sword and a bolt pistol as his offhand weapon, not his sidearm. We are able to dual wield here. Gordian is going to do the chain sword and the bolt pistol as his offhand weapon. Cyrus will take the sniper rifle. Martellus will get a bolter, and Tarkus will get a bolter. And let's see, I think I'm going to start building my base in here. So let's go 1, 2, 3. We're just going to dig out a nice hallway through the entry. Is that roughly centered on the map? More or less. I think that's close enough. It might be a little off to the right. It's really hard to judge. I could measure it, but I think it's fine. Do I want to do 3 wide or 4 wide? Let's start 4 wide, I guess. So we'll dig that out, and then we're going to open it up into a big, like a grand hall. But actually, I think I want like a little entry chamber first. We'll see. I had this planned out, and then I had to re-roll the map because I had some weird mod incompatibility. So I had a base drawn up. It's gone, but I have that layout roughly in my head. I just need to redraw it again. I guess we should probably set up our priorities here. So I like to go firefighting 1 for everybody, followed by patient 1 for everybody except Gordian, because his primary job is going to be doctoring. Cyrus is capable of medicine. I'm generally inclined to put people at 4 for doctoring, even if they're not any good at it, because then I can prioritize them to treat people or themselves. But if I have it completely blocked out, then they won't do it at all. But I don't want them doing it of their own volition. That's why I like to put it at 4. Maintaining VATs. Oh, right. Questionable ethics. I don't want Cyrus doing that for sure. Gordian, maybe. That seems like a job for either maybe a librarian? I guess an apothecary maybe, but I'm thinking apothecary librarian. Right now we don't have any, so let's not worry about it too much. Bed rest is going to be 2. Is this urgent hauling? Let's set that to 1. Well, you know what? If you guys are like dying, I don't want you urgently hauling things. Basic stuff is generally a 1. What's rearm? Traps. I don't really need any of you worrying about that, but I'll leave it at 4 so I can prioritize it. So wardening. Right now that's going to be maybe Thule's main job, so to go around and recruit people. What's the difference between jailer? That's specifically watching prisoners and releasing them. How does that differ from wardening? Feed, chat, recruit. So I think that mainly comes into play with prison labor, because if you don't watch the prisoners, they may not actively do their job. But that's not necessarily something I want Thule doing all the time. Animal handling, let's not even worry about that. Animal hunting, I don't want you doing that. Training combat is going to be a pretty high priority for everybody, and that's going to be their main source of recreation as well. So Thule, I don't think I want you crafting. I don't need you doing recon. Don't need you manning my nuclear facilities. Hauling, cleaning. Yeah, I don't want you doing any of this. So I think his main job is going to be recruiting and training, really. We'll actually leave him on therapist as well. So eventually I plan to hand that role over to the chaplains. And it's not necessarily therapy so much as it is just making sure everybody's not being a heretic. But you get the idea, right? Okay, so Cyrus, you're not going to be cooking or anything, but you're definitely going to be hunting for now. You're going to be our main hunter. Construction, we'll leave it at like a 4. And actually, we'll put Thule at 4 too. Just in case. So if there's nothing for them to actively do at the moment, they'll start helping us build. Training combat, again, should be there for everybody. And then I think Cyrus is also going to be doing most of our recon. And I'll leave him on guard duty too. Yeah, so we'll have him do both of those. Actually, let's leave that at a 3. So he'll hunt if we need food, and then he'll either train or do some scouting duties. You don't need to be hunting. I probably will need you planting initially until we have some tech priests that can handle that, or servitors for that matter. Plant cutting, yeah, also 3. Training combat should be a 3. You know what? Let's actually get these to 2. Just so you're not doing a bunch of recreation instead. None of these really need to be... Well, somebody's got to haul, right? Somebody's got to haul, somebody's got to clean. For right now, though, it might just be like Martellus and Tarkus doing a lot of that work. You don't need to be hunting. You do need to be building, but I think mining is going to be your main job right now. Quarrying is going to be primarily for servitors and prisoners, I believe. Smithing, yeah, you're going to be our main source of crafting as well. So let's leave that at a 3. Recon, no. Nuclear, yes, but let's make that a lower priority. Hauling can be a 3. Nobody's going to clean right now. I'm not worried about cleaning. And you're not going to be doing guard duty. So Tarkus, hunting, maybe. We'll put you at a 4. Construction, yes, we're going to need help with that. How good are you at it? 6, that's good enough. Training combat, yes. Recon, maybe. Again, that's a better role for Osiris, but you can help. Hauling, cleaning, sure. Yeah, that's all fine. Okay. Sorry that took so long, but we do need to get those set up. And right, one last thing before we hit pause or unpause is let's get a dumping zone. Well, not a dumping zone, but let's get a stockpile zone. We'll just kind of throw it right here. And I suppose we could build a roof over it. I mean, it's outdoors, so stuff's going to deteriorate regardless, but yeah, let's just get it in there for now. Space battle's ending. It should have just started. I might use the console to kick that back off because there's no reason for it to end this soon. So if you ever want to start those, all you need to do is go to... I'm not seeing it. Let's see. Condition. Ah, there we go. Add game condition. And space battle. Ready, go. Okay. I should probably close this console. So I do use... This is the old one, right? I do use the dev console quite a lot. I try to keep most of it off camera just to not ruin the immersion. But in order to make these Let's Plays work, it does require a lot of me kind of messing around with the game. But again, I'll do my best to make it as immersive as possible. And I don't generally cheat unless it's, you know, something that is sort of necessary to benefit the Let's Play. But just for the sake of surviving or whatever, I as a rule, don't cheat because it's honestly more fun if... It makes for a better story if we have challenges and things, so I don't like to remove all of that challenge. by, you know, cheating my way through it, it's infinitely more interesting for people to die and, you know, events to happen. But at the same time, if, you know, it would be more interesting for me to, say, spawn in an enemy in some location that would have otherwise been empty, but is a cinematic location, then, you know, maybe I will spawn an enemy in here or there. Anyways, it looks like people are finally hauling. It'll be interesting to see how efficiently they are with food. Excuse me. Because they do have several... Actually, let's take a look at that. So they have several gene seed implants, as you would imagine, for Space Marine, that are going to affect all sorts of things. As you can see over here, their movement speed is affected by several of these. It's up to almost double that of an average human. Their power armor does set them back quite a bit, so the only reason they're not zipping around like madmen is because the Space Marine power armor is like a -2 to movement speed, and then their gene seed offsets it and then some, so they're a little bit faster than an average human even in their power armor. And without the power armor, they would be incredibly fast, which is pretty true to the lore. Their sight is about 1.5 times that of an average person, as is their hearing, breathing, and blood filtration. Their blood pumping is double because they have an extra heart, and their metabolism is a little bit more than double. Now, they should also just need less food and sleep in general, but we'll see. I don't know how effective that's been implemented here. Again, this was all of my making, so I haven't had a lot of opportunity to play test these, but a lot of these effects are based on other gene seed mods that I've seen, because I liked the way they implemented a certain aspect here and there, so I figured why reinvent the wheel. But again, this is built from scratch for the most part, other than those influences. So whether or not I implemented something correctly on my own end is entirely up in the air. Okay, so we're mining along. I think that space battle did, in fact, end, which is disappointing. I was hoping some bodies would land on us. It would have been fantastic to maybe get a servitor or two out of the people that fell. But I'm sure the game will be throwing some pawns at us soon enough. What in the hell are you? A Clawed Fiend? Okay. Well, there's plenty of animals dotted around the map. I am playing this on a massive tile, by the way. I think it's like 425 by 425. So we'll have a lot of resources available, hopefully. Granted, when the snow starts, it'll probably never stop, and animals will be a rarity at that point. So it might be a good idea to start stocking up now, but until I have a place to freeze the animal corpses, I don't really see the benefit in that. I think I'm going to set up a production facility here. And again, because we're not researching anything, I have access to everything right out of the gate. But it's not going to necessarily do me any good because I don't have the resources to make any of these, at least the vast majority of them. What I can make is a Stonecutter's Table. And I would like to do that if I could find it. There it is. So I know that we spawned with a bunch of steel. I say we should probably make this out of steel. And I'm just going to plant it right here. I don't really care if it's a little bit less efficient. And in terms of furniture, we'll put down something for them to sit on just so they're a little bit more efficient than they would otherwise be. Again, it's going to be far from optimal, but it'll at least do a little bit for us. I don't care. Just build it. So you're going to go meditate, Martellus. Really like for you to build stuff, if you don't mind. But it looks like these two will. Cool. That's fine. Again, we're going to be a lot more specialized down the line, but right now with only 5 of us, there's really not a lot of room for that. Okay, well that's the stool at least. Can we get a Stonecutter's Table? I might have Tarkus do the actual stone cutting just because somebody's got to do it, right? and it's not necessarily going to level up their crafting skill, so I don't have to worry about him becoming like a god tier crafter from doing that. I just need somebody to actually start breaking rocks. I was sort of hoping that we'd have access to slate, though. I thought slate would make a cool looking fortress monastery, but right now we're dealing with mostly sandstone. Even though I think we actually do have access to... Let's see, I want my tile specifically. It's not going to show me. Hold on, we should be able to look at the abandoned form caravan terrain. Sandstone and limestone. I swear when I chose this, slate was one of them. So maybe when I re-rolled the tile layout, I lost it. I might be able to implement it back in, so we'll see. But for now, we'll just make do with sandstone. Ultimately, though, I think like dark black walls would be pretty slick looking for a fortress monastery. So that's the goal. Right, make any stone blocks and do it forever. You see a chunk, break it up. Now, whether or not anybody will do that is another matter entirely, but we'll see about that. All right, so with that little hallway dug out, Martellus is going to start working on this little entry room now. And actually, now that I look at it, it doesn't look big enough. So I'm going to expand it a bit. We'll go to like that size. But basically, I want sort of an entry chamber that if the enemy does ever sort of break through our main gate, the Persona Core. I don't plan on leaving this planet. We're trying to conquer this planet. Anyways, I want an entry chamber where I can sort of corral enemies that break through my main gate. Not that that's ever really been a thing that's happened to us in any previous playthrough, but I like to, you know, plan for the worst. So if the enemy did break through our main gate, we would have a room where they would be sort of stuck and have to break through another gate. And in that room, we would have, you know, either embrasured walls or basically just like turrets ready to open up on any intruders. But we would be truly in a desperate situation if somebody made it that far, because that would assume that they've broken through all of our outer defenses and killed a lot of our pawns in the process. So if they made it that far, it might be a losing battle regardless, but better safe than sorry, right? Right, so I've kept everybody busy with mining and very basic construction tasks, and of course cutting stone blocks. So they also have a horseshoe pin to keep them, you know, from going too crazy. But these are Space Marines after all; they shouldn't need too many comforts. This is what the grand entry, or sorry, not the grand entry. This is what the Great Hall is going to look like. So I estimate that this should be enough supports to keep anything from caving in. No roof tile should be more than 6 away from a support, whether that be a wall or one of these columns. We'll see. Maybe my calculations were incorrect. I'm only really worried about this middle spot here, but again, these are, I think, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are 12 apart, meaning that even at the furthest point, nothing should be more than 7, which is what puts you at risk for a cave-in. If we need to, we can move stuff over. I believe if we shift all of these to the right one, it'll still be okay. And maybe we'll just do that to be safe, because I think 7 is the cutoff. And of course, these are only 6 from the wall, meaning that everything is well below the threshold there. But again, in the middle, maybe not so much. So actually, let's do that now. I'll just shift everything to the middle one tile, and that should be a safer bet. And let me know if I am mistaken in my calculations. I am quite rusty at this game. It's been almost 2 years since I played last. So, yeah, I might have forgotten how that works. But this should, I think, be okay based on what I knew previously. So we're going to start mining that out. And as you can see in this little entry hall, I just started throwing down these basic sandstone slabs to get something on the floor. The reason I did that is because they're relatively cheap and they're less time intensive than smoothing the floor. They're not as beautiful as a smooth floor, but I don't really care about that if I'm being honest. And again, this is a little bit faster. So in the meantime, I think what I want to do is I'm actually going to ask that they mine out a little room over here, just so that I have somewhere to put these guys for the time being. Because right now I've been having them sleep in this area, which means not only are they sleeping outdoors in the cold, but I mean, it is roofed, but it's not walled in. So if we can get them set up in here, they should be a little bit more comfortable sleeping. And I might have enough steel to build them some proper beds, depending on what the resource requirements are for the beds we want to do. Another thing I want to look at is we have all these steam vents around, so a geothermal generator is well within our grasp. Actually, we should look at that. So we of course can build it because research is not a consideration, but do we have the resources? 340 steel, 8 components. So it looks like we can actually build one right now because we did start with 25 components and we have probably exactly the right amount of steel. Steel should be easy to come by though. So if we wanted to, we could slap down a geothermal generator right there and then run the wiring to our base. And that would get us some consistent power right out of the gate, which is nice. And we have several of these. As you can see, there's one there. There's one there. I thought there was even another one out here. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, wow, we might want to build the front of our base all the way out to here just so we can sort of defend all those. But for right now, this is perfectly fine. And if I'm not mistaken, that's made out of wood. But I think a lot of... Oh, that's marble. That's sandstone. I was going to say a lot of these walls are made out of steel, but apparently they're not. I must be thinking of the ones down here. Yeah. That's granite. Oh, okay. So if we want some more exotic materials, we can start breaking down these. But yeah, that's all steel, so we can capitalize on that. And I'm sure there's plenty of steel in the mountain as well. We just haven't hit it yet. But we should probably mark out this little bit of machinery. And oh, is that steel right in front of my face? It is. So yeah, let's just mine out this whole chunk then. That probably isn't all steel, but we'll just get them going. And there's more steel down here if we need it. Okay. Cool. Unfortunately, that's all very dependent on Martellus doing it. And he is currently on a break, so we're not going to see a lot of progress. Other than these guys will... Actually, they'll probably take a crack at building it, but I'm not sure I want them to. So when all the resources get there, I'll ask Martellus to... Come here. Come stand by. Once all the resources are there, he's going to take on the building project. Cool. So we'll undraft you. Knock that out, please. And then you can go back to your mining job. And again, this is going to be a temporary little bedroom. Eventually, this will be like a little pillbox for shooting out of. I think what I'll probably do is shave the entire mountain down in the front here to like a nice flat wall. And we can set up embrasured spots that we can fire out of. I'd like to have several layers of defense. So we'll have one built out here. And again, with all of these geysers, it might make more sense to build it all the way out to here. But wherever we decide to build it, we'll have that layer. And then we'll have a fortified front to the base with several pillboxes that can fire out. And I'll probably set up this particular one on either side so that it's accessible from here on this end only. And I'll put more embrasure so that it can fire into this first entry chamber. That way, if anything does get in there, it's not going to immediately have access to other rooms. It's only going to be able to break through what might be a double layered gate here, potentially. Are you smoothing those out? That is going to take you an eternity, isn't it? Should we just build walls? I wish I had something to build with other than sandstone. What are my options? So, reinforced embrasure, heavy reinforced wall. I can build a silver or steel. That's not very helpful. What about this one? Silver or steel. Okay. Classic stone wall. Can't build that out of anything that I have. Panel wall. Colony wall. Cargo wall. None of these can be made out of stone. Well, isn't that just inconvenient? Rockcrete. I'd have to make Imperial Synth Binder, but that is a little bit tougher than... Oh, and I can't use sandstone for that either. Well. I guess let's just smooth it, and we may tear them down later. Also, what mod is this? I kind of don't like the way those look. I'm going to have to go see what retexture mod that is and maybe remove it. It's finally asking me to... I feel like it took forever, man. 6 days? Is that normally how long it takes? Anyway, we got to choose a faction name and a settlement name. So obviously our faction is going to be the Blood Ravens. That's easy enough. But the name I'm going to go with for the settlement is the name of the fortress monastery that the Blood Ravens make their base at in Dark Crusade, which is Castellum Incorruptus, a very Space Marine-y name, I guess. So that'll be fun to say over and over again throughout the duration of this playthrough. But anyways, we've mined out this room here, and so now it's just a matter of kind of making it livable. So we need to smooth the walls out and then put a floor down, and then we've built this small steel chandelier to light it up, but obviously that is pending our ability to run power to it. So I've built this sweeping conduit all the way to the entrance of the base, which we are running through the smoothed walls as far as currently it is able to be run. And it looks like Tarkus is working on making that more viable. So let's stretch it on down. But we're going to wrap it through the walls here and then into that room so that we have some power, and we'll throw down 5 beds. Once that is done, I'm going to mirror another room on over here, and we will put a cooler in there to make a temporary freezer, and then we can start hunting all the animals on the map, or at least a lot of them, and start stockpiling some meat, which is going to be very, very important. We need to also look at getting hydroponics set up sooner rather than later, because obviously these survival meals are not going to last us forever. Granted, the Space Marines eat very, very infrequently from what I've seen. So that's great. It means that food's going to last us a lot longer than it would have otherwise. But, you know, it's still not going to last forever. And since we're not adding to that, it is literally just a matter of time. So let's get these beds down. I'm going to use the steel simple beds from Bondage Bed Torture. These are not torture beds. They are just regular beds. I don't know why we needed that many different beds, but the torture mod is for other reasons, as I'm sure you'll see soon enough. But yeah, this is the cheapest bed I can currently make, and I don't plan to use these for the duration of this playthrough. In fact, I like the look of this slab bed, especially the prisoner one is very industrial looking. So I think those will be the ones that go in the Space Marines bedrooms. That or these fancy sleeping pods, which those are kind of cool. They say prisoner, but you can mark them however you want. It's just a different coloration. So these, I think they heal your people while they sleep in them better. I honestly don't know, but there's obviously a medicinal cost there, so I assume it has something to do with medicine. But honestly, these seem more 40k to me. They're very kind of uncomfortable looking, which, you know, Space Marines aren't necessarily about comfort. I don't care about quality builder right now. Again, these are only temporary, so there's no reason to waste time fiddling about with the quality. We just need something to lay on that's indoors. And we have light, so I was able to run the conduit through the smooth wall here, And let's see, I'm going to reconnect it a little bit further up. But yeah, they have light in here now, so they'll work a little bit faster with smoothing those walls and the floors and etc, etc. As far as the doors go, let's just get something on there. Why am I just clicking around randomly? Here we go. So we have these fancy glass ones, but I think just a regular old door will do. Maybe a blast door? I mean, this is only temporary, so we probably shouldn't invest too much into this. Let's just make it a steel door. Right there is fine. We just want to enclose this space so that they're sleeping indoors and not outdoors. We do need to beautify it a little bit more, though, because people are not going to be too pleased that they're sleeping in this hot mess of a tunnel right now. So we have our first encounter with some 40k wildlife here. So this is from Rimdark 40k fauna, and these blood locusts are after our apothecary Gordian. So we're gonna want everybody to prepare for this one. I don't know how dangerous these things are, but let's see. Cyrus, gonna draft you, put you there. Tarkus, gonna draft you, put you next to him. Martellus, I'm gonna draft you and put you next to them. Thule, you're gonna come stand in front, and Gordian, try to get back to these guys. We'll put 2 melee guys in front and the shooters behind, like so. And did they just stop? Now they're also hunting Cyrus. Okay, well, we're all in the same place, so come get us. Wow, that is the entire group. Christ. I sure hope those bolters are effective against these guys. Okay, I don't need a notification that every single one is hunting him. Okay. Let's see if we get wiped on the first week on this planet. Come on, are you joking? God, they all want Cyrus. Can you not hit them from there? What's going on? They're well within your range. You should have been shooting a while ago. Maybe because they're not Manhunter, they didn't auto-target. Well, that's one down. Okay, I'm just going to grab all 3 of you. And we'll just start manually targeting stuff. Oh, dear God, this is tedious. Well, I hope you guys like insect meat. I might need to turn these notifications off. Because if this ever happens again, this is ridiculous. Okay, it's another one down. It's another one down. That's another one down. I'm not pausing. This is entirely the game. Oh, they're getting close. Okay, how many are left? Oh no, they're eating my meals. Oh, you dicks. Well, let's see. I think everything in there is dead. Wow, you guys are effective shooters, I'll give you that. So, after we kill all the ones funneling in here, we are definitely going to want to rush out and deal with the ones eating our food. Okay, so that just leaves... Oh, there's still like 6. Okay, so 3 meals got eaten there. I'll never forgive you for this. Well, I'll try to think of this as a net gain in food, since all of these things are going to be edible. Assuming we can get them into a freezer. Right, so let's have everybody... We're going to search and destroy you. Maybe just melee attack you. Can I... Get rid of all these now, please. Somebody's revenging. Let's see. Alright. Oh, of course, all my melee, or my melee guys stayed behind because I didn't have them selected. Great. I'd like you to melee attack them. Tarkus, you can just start shooting. Beautiful shot. The moment I gave him that order, I was actually a bit concerned that he might blow away our food with his bolter. But he didn't. He's a real professional there. So that is all of the locusts. Oh, no, that's not all the locusts. Okay. Right. No. Why are you moving? Get back there. You two. Where's the... Okay, whatever. Shoot him with that. No. Stop. I don't understand why they feel the need to move. Don't run and gun. Don't search and destroy. That's probably where I'm having my problem. If you would be so kind as to shoot that thing. Great job. Are they all dead now? Let's see if I do that. That should highlight all of them. Oh no, there's still plenty around. Right, so I think we need to reprioritize here a bit. If I look at that's the leader tab. I want to be on this tab, wildlife. Let's hunt any of these that are still remaining. That will be Cyrus's job. And I want all of you allowed. Again, we'll try to get them into a freezer, and that's something that we might be able to eat. The question is, how quickly can we get them into a freezer? I suppose, yeah, with all of that mining done, it shouldn't hurt to go ahead and crack open this area here. We'll do a slightly smaller space for the time being, just to get it going. But we'll undraft everybody now. Yeah, I need to remember not to... probably shouldn't use search and destroy next time. I like having that for certain situations, but that was not the situation to use it. I didn't realize so many of them were still in play, and that was kind of my mistake. So I think what I'll do in the meantime is... I think it's in a production. We should be able to throw down a butcher spot, or I guess we have the materials to just make the proper table. So, we may as well just make a steel butcher's table or something. We'll put that in... Oh, God, it's so dirty in here. Whatever. We're going to build it right there. And we're going to chop all of these bugs up because I don't think we'll have enough space to store them as is. But each one will give us... Who knows how much food? Probably like 35 insect meat or something. I'm just completely making that number up. But... It'll be stackable is the point. So, yeah. Also, here's our Artificers Table. So this is where all the 40k stuff I made will be crafted at this bench here. Yeah, it's recolorable too. Check it out. Silver, steel. If we made it out of slate, it would be black. So that's where all my stuff is crafted. So we'll want to throw one of those down at some point because obviously we're going to want to craft more Space Marine armors and whatnot. I believe most of them require plasteel though, so that's something we're gonna have to start sourcing relatively soon if we want to start making Space Marine armor. Now, granted, all of our recruits are gonna have to go through a pretty lengthy process, and that's kind of where the Space Marines are balanced in that yes, they are incredibly lethal and difficult to kill, but it is going to take forever to turn somebody into one because we're going to need to craft all of the different gene seed components and then install them. And I'm going to try to do it in a lore friendly way. So, I mean, I believe just based on the nature of the game, we can only install one implant at a time. And so we'll do it in like bursts where we'll maybe install 3 or 4 in one go. I'll do it based on the phases that they're done in the lore. And once we have, let's speed things up a bit. Once we've installed all those, then the initiate will become a scout marine, and then I guess technically they would go most of the way, then become a scout marine, and then get the last couple, is how it was done in the old lore before Primaris Marines ruined everything. So that's the rule that we'll follow here. Butcher creature, do forever. And I'm just going to tell them to drop it on the floor. Yeah, we'll just leave the meat on the floor for now. But again, it'll go in this little space. Actually, to that end, let's mine out a little strip. Oh, cool, more compacted machinery. We'll mine out a little strip, and we'll put a cooler here. And I don't really care if it heats up in that little block. But ideally, it would vent out to the atmosphere. Okay. So let's see, temperature. We want an air conditioner of some kind, so the cooler will work. And we'll put it down right thereabouts. I can't build it there. Why can't I build it there? Oh, it has to go on top of a wall. Well then. Okay, structures. Let's just build the most basic wall that we can build. Right. Can I build it now? Yes. Obviously, power is going to be another problem in getting that over there, but, you know, one thing at a time. And we're going to build a copy of this door over there as well. Smoothing the walls is going to be probably the most important thing, because then we can start running conduits wherever we need to. That is one of the downsides to smoothing walls, is, or I guess going that route is it would be a lot faster to just tear the wall down and build a new wall. If we decide to smooth them, it's going to take a lot longer, and the sort of stone that we're using as a wall as sort of a placeholder is not able to run conduits through. So if I want to run them through there, I have to wait until all that's done. And that is obviously going to take us quite a while. Let's also mirror this on over there. Again, not too concerned about quality right now. We seem to be getting perfectly good quality stuff anyways, even though I've made no effort to control for that. Because Martellus is doing a lot of the building. Everything has been, yeah, normal or better, which is fantastic. That's what we would have been shooting for anyways as a quality builder, so it's been kind of redundant at this point. Now when we have servitors and stuff doing a lot of the work, that might change, but for right now, this seems to be working just fine. Okay. So I've yet to see any of these guys get butchered, but we need to start working on that. We have about 2 days. Oh, nobody's butchering anything because we don't have anybody who's allowed to cook. That'll probably be a job for... Really? No Xenos, huh? I guess that doesn't include what we're considering, because those are animals, I suspect. Yeah, okay, so those are fine. Right. Nobody is able to cook right now based on my policies, so I think that's a Cyrus job. He's the most skilled at it. He just has, you know, the best survival skills of everybody. So it makes sense to have him do it. He'll be the most efficient. That little pause where he cleaned, that's from the Common Sense mod. So they'll, if they're doing surgery or they're cooking, they'll actually stop and try to clean the area first. And that's what you saw him do there. Granted, it's so filthy that it probably didn't make much of a difference. So let's clear everything. We're going to not allow rotten, only fresh, and we're going to say only raw foods. And yeah, let's not waste the space for the packaged 5 meals. We'll try to get those indoors soon, but right now I'm just worried about the food that will spoil. These are going to slowly deteriorate, but it's not a big deal. These will rot though, and then we lose them entirely, so we need to get them inside. And I actually saw them carry some bug meat somewhere right here, actually. Yeah, so we want to make sure that that goes into the freezer. And in fact, I'll even specify that no raw foods are allowed in here. Granted, with the priority difference, they should all end up over there anyways, but I don't want, like, overflow, for example, getting thrown in the hallway. Now, what is this? Oh, animal fat. Okay. So we can use that for, I think, like, candles and stuff, as, like, tallow. Not really anything I'm too worried about, but something that might be interesting eventually. So we need to continue smoothing the walls in here. At the very least, we need to get this side just so I can run a conduit through. Once it gets to about here, it should be able to reach. But until then, you know, all bets are off. And in fact, just to kind of expedite that process, I'm going to cancel all the ones up here just because, you know, it's a distraction for them. The less things they have to worry about. Cyrus is having a food binge. Interesting. I didn't think we had anybody on the verge of mental break, and granted, with these Space Marines, they shouldn't really be having mental breaks anyways. And Thule calmed him down, so yeah. Okay, so the cooler now has power. Let's make sure that we don't do the same thing I did in my Star Wars playthrough where I forget to actually turn this down. So -5C should be perfectly fine. Hopefully that will kick in relatively quickly. We may even want to double door this just so it's got a little bit extra buffer. You guys are coming and going a little bit too frequently for my taste. Tarkus, you've just made like several trips into there. Why is that? Are we just sorting? Are we sorting things? Is that really what's happening right now? So it's already down to roughly refrigeration temperatures. And yeah, it should drop into the freezing area relatively soon. It's getting there. And this area is, yeah, already extremely hot. What we'll need to do once we have a proper freezer set up is we'll want to make sure that it's ventilated, because right now we're actually kind of counteracting the ability of this cooler to function, because this temperature will bleed through the wall, and especially because this is only 1 block thick, it will bleed back into this area. And so we might actually not be able to cool this down to the temperature we want because of that. Let's see. I might just have to keep cranking it down to counteract it. Oh, news of peace. Some of the human factions are no longer fighting, which is good. There's plenty of Xenos to kill. Yeah, we're not going to be able to get this below about 4 or 5C, it looks like. It doesn't help that we have people going in and out so frequently. That should help at least. Yeah, that was a mistake. We'll see what we can do. I do have mods that let us remove the overhead mountain, which we'd be entirely screwed otherwise. The alternative would just be to turn an area like this, or, you know, if there's an easier area to close off, we would just turn that into the freezer. But I'd like for it to be inside, so I might have to remove this, have them crack a hole in the mountain, and then put it back. It's a bit tedious, but we can do it. Otherwise, I'll just mine around it That's an option too. We'll see. I'll figure it out probably off camera. So I was hoping for the first raid in this episode, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I guess effectively the Blood Locust kind of filled that role. But I've got over an hour and a half of footage now, so I think that's going to be more than enough for one episode. With that, I'll leave it here. Hopefully you guys are really excited for this new Let's Play. Again, it's been so long in the making, I don't even know what to feel about it anymore, but I really hope you guys enjoy it, and so I'm going to do everything I can to make that happen. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. I had a great time playing some Rimworld with you guys. Again, I keep saying this in the Star Wars playthrough, but I'm very excited to be back, especially playing Rimworld with you. You know, we started off when I first came back with Bannerlord, and Bannerlord is a game I really enjoy, but it doesn't ever do as well on the channel as something like Rimworld. And you guys seem to just take a lot more inspiration from the Rimworld series than anything else I do. So I'm happy that you guys like these series so much. But anyways, thank you again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you guys back here for part 2.